A gripping and emotional story that shook Mexico, its Catholic Church, and an entire community. This is the story of Father Francisco Bautista, a priest whose life took a tragic turn, leaving behind questions and a call for forgiveness. Father Francisco Javier Bautista Avalos had been a beloved figure in Mexico City's Miguel Hidalgo neighborhood for over 15 years. As the pastor of Cristo Salvador Catholic Church, he was known for his deep faith and extraordinary healing practices. His parishioners adored him, not just for his spiritual guidance, but for his genuine involvement in the community. Whether it was attending social events or participating in local activities, Father Francisco was a fixture in the lives of those around him. In this vibrant neighborhood named after the military priest who played a role in the Mexican Independence War, Father Francisco had earned a reputation for performing miraculous acts. His church was always buzzing with activity, especially on Mondays, Thursdays, and Fridays, when long lines of believers gathered, hoping for a glimpse of his healing touch. People came with all kinds of problems: addiction, disappearances, and even cases of alleged demonic possession. Father Francisco was famous for his exorcisms and healing ceremonies, which were often broadcast on TV and even featured in his book, Psalms and Prayers to Heal the Soul. Among the many faces at Cristo Salvador, there was Gil, a 60-year-old woman who was often seen by Father Francisco's side during his healing acts. Known to the parishioners as his shadow, Gil was a familiar presence, believed to have a special gift. Living just a few blocks from the church, she and her husband sold religious articles outside the temple. Before becoming the pastor of Cristo Salvador, Father Francisco had served at another local church, Mar Ara Catholic Church, where he had already started making a name for himself with his powerful exorcisms. Rumor had it that he had even received training in the Vatican for these practices. Father Francisco wasn't just a priest, he was a pillar of the community. He attended early morning masses, anointed the sick, and participated in various local events, all while promoting recreational and sports activities. His parishioners admired him greatly, often attributing miraculous healings to his touch. His dedication to his faith and his community was unquestionable, until a shocking tragedy unfolded. Enter Hugo Leonardo Avendaño, affectionately known as Leo. Born in 1990, Leo was a young man with a clear vocation. He had grown up in Mexico with a desire to serve through his Catholic faith. After high school, he pursued theology and later a master's in psychoanalytic psychotherapy, combining his religious training with scientific understanding. Leo was Father Francisco's right-hand man, assisting him in various church activities and earning the respect and affection of the parish community. The tragic twist in this tale came with the violent death of Deacon Leonardo Avendaño. The suspect in this brutal attack was none other than a priest with over 20 years in the priesthood. The shocking revelation left the community in disbelief.
Imagínate que de repente a cualquiera de ustedes llega una víbora y los muerde. Y la víbora se va, ¿y ustedes con qué se quedaron? Con el veneno, ¿no? Es el odio, el rencor, el resentimiento, ¿para qué lo queremos? Entonces que agarren a la víbora, ¿verdad? Pero hay que sacar nosotros el veneno.
Who could have had a motive to take the life of such a promising young deacon, especially when the suspect was someone they had trusted and revered? In the wake of this tragedy, Father Francisco was faced with the harrowing task of convincing his parishioners of the need to forgive the person behind the violent death. The community, shaken and unable to understand the motive behind such a heinous act, struggled to reconcile their faith with the reality of the situation. Father Francisco's call for forgiveness amidst the pain was a testament to his deep commitment to his faith and his belief in the power of forgiveness, even in the face of unimaginable loss. The story of Father Francisco Bautista is a complex tapestry of faith, community, and tragedy. It highlights the profound impact of personal loss on a tight-knit community and the difficult journey of seeking understanding and forgiveness in the wake of such a devastating event. As the community grapples with the aftermath, the call for forgiveness remains a beacon of hope and a reminder of the enduring power of faith. In the Miguel Hidalgo neighborhood of Mexico City, Father Francisco Javier Bautista Avalos was more than a priest. He was a beloved figure, known for his healing touch and community spirit. For over 15 years, he served at the Cristo Salvador Catholic Church, a place where the faithful flocked for solace, guidance, and sometimes miracles. Father Francisco was a familiar face at local events, and his influence extended far beyond the church walls. He was a revered healer and a popular guest on supernatural television shows, further cementing his reputation. But the story takes a dark turn with the arrival of a young man who would become central to this saga. Hugo Leonardo Avendaño Chavez, affectionately known as Leo, was not just a dedicated deacon, but also Father Francisco's close confidant. Leo's journey began in Mexico in 1990, marked by his commitment to faith and education. He studied theology and psychoanalytic psychotherapy, blending spiritual and scientific approaches to help those in need. His dedication earned him a prominent role at the Cristo Salvador Church, where he was deeply involved in church activities and known for his cheerful and devoted nature. The close bond between Father Francisco and Leo was apparent. They often met in the evenings, working late into the night. On June 11, 2019, Leo left for one such meeting, dressed casually in blue pants, a light shirt, and black shoes. It was the last time his brother Josue would hear from him. When Leo didn't return home the next day, Josue grew worried. His fears intensified when Father Francisco called to say Leo hadn't shown up for their scheduled meeting. This was a time of heightened anxiety in Mexico City, with violent crime rates soaring. With nearly 700 homicides reported in the first half of 2019 alone, the city was on edge. Josue reported his brother missing, detailing Leo's usual route to the church and his scheduled plans. But as the investigation unfolded, it took a chilling turn. On June 12, 2019, a call came in about a suspicious gray Chevrolet abandoned in the Heroes 1910 neighborhood. When authorities arrived, they found the vehicle containing the body of a young man, later identified as Leo. He was covered with a yellow blanket and showed clear signs of physical abuse. The initial forensic report suggested he had been suffocated.
A las 9:30 horas del día 12 de junio, la Secretaría de Seguridad Ciudadana recibió el reporte a través del 911 de un vehículo abandonado con una persona al interior, en un paraje de la colonia Héroes de 1910 en la alcaldía de Tlalpan. A las 10 de la mañana llegan al lugar elementos de la Secretaría de Seguridad Ciudadana, quienes aprecian el cuerpo de una persona al interior del vehículo y se da aviso inmediatamente.
With the grim discovery, the focus shifted from a missing persons case to a homicide investigation. As grief-stricken family, friends, and the community demanded justice, protests erupted, echoing the recent outrage over other violent crimes. The tragic death of Norberto Ranillo, a student whose case had similarly shocked the public, fueled the calls for swift justice. Demonstrators from various universities united, demanding a safe environment free from crime. In the midst of this public outcry, Father Francisco appeared to mourn Leo publicly, conducting the funeral mass with calm composure. Yet behind this veneer of tranquility, sinister truths were about to surface. 3 days after Leo's funeral, authorities issued an arrest warrant for Father Francisco. The investigation revealed damning evidence. Surveillance footage captured Leo arriving at the church with the priest at 11 p.m. on June 11th. Father Francisco was seen leaving the church with Leo at 3:16 a.m. the next morning. The footage showed Leo's vehicle making its way to where it was abandoned, with a second vehicle, later identified as Father Francisco's, arriving shortly after. The evidence continued to stack up. Security cameras recorded the second vehicle, which Father Francisco was seen boarding, leaving the scene and heading away from where Leo's body was eventually found. On June 19, 2019, Father Francisco was arrested and taken to the Oriente Men's Prison in Mexico City. As the investigation unfolded, authorities discovered that Leo had sent a message indicating he would stay overnight at Father Francisco's house. This message, combined with the surveillance footage, painted a clear picture of the priest's involvement. Leo, as he was affectionately known, was not just any deacon. His life was marked by a passion for travel and a deep commitment to his parish and its parishioners. He had a close relationship with Father Francisco, the parish priest, forged through years of shared work and mutual respect. Their bond was so strong that their meetings often extended late into the night. But everything changed on June 12, 2019. Josue, Leo's brother, grew concerned when Leo didn't come home after his meeting with Father Francisco. The young deacon had left his home in blue pants, a light shirt, and black shoes, but failed to return or make contact. Josue's worry escalated when Father Francisco himself called, saying Leo never showed up for their planned meeting. As authorities began their search, they stumbled upon a gray Chevrolet abandoned on Eucalypto Street in the Heroes 1910 neighborhood. Initial inspections revealed signs of brutal physical abuse and asphyxiation. The discovery sent shockwaves through the community, with rumors and accusations swirling like a storm. The investigation quickly honed in on Father Francisco. Two critical pieces of evidence emerged. A message from Leo indicating he had arrived at the church, and the unsettling fact that Leo's car keys were found in the priest's possession.
Lo reconocí ayer, sí, ¿verdad? Y pues es doloroso ver cómo quedó, pero pues bueno, ya le toca a las autoridades hacer su trabajo.
Despite these damning clues, Father Francisco steadfastly denied any involvement, claiming that Leo had never arrived for their meeting and questioning the integrity of the investigation. The community, however, was not convinced. Parishioners rallied behind Father Francisco, asserting his innocence with a fervor that bordered on denial. They organized protests, criticizing the authorities and accusing them of crucifying a just man. The debates were intense, with supporters vehemently defending their priest and condemning what they saw as an injustice. Public opinion was deeply divided. Some speculated about extortion and hidden scandals, while others rejected these theories, focusing on the evidence that pointed directly to Father Francisco. Investigative journalist Lourdes Marua revealed that Leo had uncovered financial irregularities within the parish, a possible motive for the crime. Yet despite these revelations, the official stance remained focused on homicide, not kidnapping or crime of passion. As the case progressed, it became clear that Leo's lifestyle raised further questions. His ability to afford a luxurious car and a new apartment, combined with unexplained cash flows and expensive travel, painted a picture of financial mystery that implicated Father Francisco even further. The priest's continued claims of innocence did little to quell the growing tide of suspicion and anger. In the courtroom, the drama reached its climax. Father Francisco's defense team, led by Jorge Cuadra and Jorge Penuno, argued against the evidence, questioning the credibility of the videos and evidence presented.
Desde luego, porque se basan simplemente en un seguimiento vehicular para determinar quién fue o no responsable de un homicidio. Ya se determinará, no podemos adelantarnos a lo que el juez determine. Pues son 30 minutos que se dan de receso y ya podremos ver a fondo lo que resuelva. No son claros. Ya presentaron, la Fiscalía presentó los videos, nosotros estamos presentando una pericial en criminalística tendiente a desvirtuar lo que la Fiscalía pretende acreditar con esos videos.
However, their efforts were overshadowed by the overwhelming proof against the priest. The community's support remained unwavering, with protests and rallies calling for Father Francisco's release, even as the court proceedings continued. Finally, in April 2021, justice was served. Father Francisco was found guilty of the murder of Hugo Leonardo Avendaño Chavez. The court's decision was met with mixed emotions: relief for some, heartbreak for others. For Leo's family, it was a long-awaited moment of closure, though the pain of their loss remained. The courtroom buzzed with anticipation on April 9, 2021, as the final chapter of the case against Father Francisco was about to be written. The priest, accused of the heinous murder of Deacon Hugo Leonardo Avendaño Chavez, faced his moment of reckoning. The verdict was clear. Father Francisco was sentenced to 27 years and 6 months in prison for his role in Leo's death. Additionally, he was ordered to pay 422,000 pesos, around $25,000, as compensation to Leo's grieving family. But this wasn't just any case. The crime in question was aggravated homicide, meaning Father Francisco would not benefit from parole or other leniencies typically available to lesser offenses. As the sentence was handed down, the courtroom fell silent, the weight of the decision sinking in. Father Francisco's defense team wasn't about to accept defeat quietly. They announced their intention to appeal the court's decision, arguing that they had ample evidence to prove the priest's innocence. On social media, Father Francisco himself reassured his followers that steps were being taken to challenge the ruling. He reiterated his innocence, maintaining that he had been in his bedroom the night Leo died. He expressed regret over Leo's death but denied any responsibility.
Said,
es una comunidad que está muy conmovida porque pues son cosas que pues se van haciendo ya como cotidianas, ¿verdad? No solamente aquí en lo que es por ser la comunidad área, sino que hay secuestros, que hay robos, ¿verdad? Y eso se va intensificando, o sea, no solamente son los dos estudiantes, ahora se está promoviendo en la televisión, sino y los demás qué, ¿no? Los papás, los niños, los que están sufriendo todo esto, pues ¿qué pasa, no? ¿Cuánta gente?
Yet the evidence against him was overwhelming. The geolocation data from his cell phone placed him at the scene where Leo's body was discovered. Not only that, but both Leo's and Father Francisco's phones showed they were in the same area throughout the early hours of that fateful morning. Security camera footage further implicated him, showing that he was at the scene when Leo's body was found. To top it off, the keys to Leo's car were found in Father Francisco's possession, a detail he couldn't convincingly explain. For many, religious temples are sanctuaries of peace and reflection. They're places where people open their hearts and connect with their faith. But as in this tragic case, these sacred spaces can sometimes become the backdrop for heartbreaking scandals. The juxtaposition of faith and crime in such instances can evoke profound sadness and indignation. In 2019, amidst the turmoil of Leo's disappearance, his brother Josue had sought help to uncover the truth and bring those responsible to justice.
Como el asesino al padre Francisco Javier Bautista Ábalos, pues los jueces, ya que fue colegiado, llegaron a la resolución que él había sido la persona que le quitó la vida a mi hermano, ya que se quedó súper claro que no fue un accidente. Para que pues me ayuden a que pues este caso no sea uno más y encuentren a los responsables, sobre todo a los que sí fueron. No espero que me pentan así a cualquier que agarren y este fue el que mató a tu hermano. Sí, lo único que le exijo a las autoridades es que realmente encuentren a quienes le hicieron esto a mi hermano.
The words chosen for closing reflections back then captured the sentiment of a family desperate for answers and accountability. While justice was ultimately served with Father Francisco's conviction, the pain endured by the Avendaño family is a wound that will never fully heal. As this investigation comes to a close, the hope is that this case will lead to more effective actions by authorities to prevent such tragedies in the future. No family should have to endure the kind of heartbreak that the Avendaños have faced. Thanks for watching. Please like the video, press the subscribe button, and also drop your thoughts in the comments section.